Locations in the comments. Tell me where you are located as y'all come into the comments, and we will get started in a moment. If you want to get more information on my Power Presence protocol, which is coming soon, this is going to be a game changer for a bunch of you who get involved. Text the word power to my numbers in my bio, or the pinned comment. Those of you who are watching on anything other than TikTok is the pinned comment. But make sure you give me your locations in the comments. You can definitely do that, regardless of where you're checking in from. As you are coming in again, give me your locations. Locations in the comments. Tell me where you are checking in from. I'll shout out a few people, then we'll get started in a moment. Let me make sure everything is working as it's supposed to be. Make sure you text me the word power to my text number, not in the comments, to my text number. You will be first to know when Power Presence Protocol drops. It will be ready soon. We build things pretty quickly around here. And we are live on Rumble. Good morning, Rumble. Live on YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. Let me check that we are live on X. It says that we are live. And yes, we are live on X. And let me put a comment here. We are live on X. Good morning, those of you checking in on X. We are live on LinkedIn. Good morning, LinkedIn. My name on all of those platforms that I just mentioned, Rumble, YouTube, X, and LinkedIn is at Dre All Day. Those of you know how to use those apps, Dre All Day. I'm pretty easy to find. Or just type my name in, Dre Baldwin. We're live on Facebook, Facebook/Work on Your Game University. Live on Instagram at Dre Baldwin, and live on TikTok at Work on Your Game. So I was on X yesterday. And a lot of people are arguing about Christopher Columbus. Not really arguing, but trashing the idea of Christopher Columbus. Now, Christopher Columbus discovered America. I know a lot of people don't want to give Christopher Columbus credit, but people in Europe didn't know that America was here, or what became America was here, until Christopher Columbus let them know. So he gets credit for it. He gets credit for it because he's the one who got his name in history books, and 500 years later, we still know his name. People still talking about him, whether you're bashing him or praising him, you're still talking about him. Somebody said, somebody's trying to say that some Vikings found it first. And the thing is, Columbus is the guy who has he got a bunch of towns named after him. He has cities named after him. He's the one whose names we still remember. Again, even if you're bashing him, he gets the credit because he's the one who got everybody to know about it and talk about it. And I'm just writing a note here. All right. So let me shout a few people out in the comments section. I could have talked about that yesterday, but it's not worth a whole lot. Christopher Columbus is the one who gets the credit, even though there were Native Americans here. People say, well, there are Native Americans here. How can you discover something that there are people already there? Well, discovery is relative. He discovered it for the people of Europe. The people of Europe sent settlers. Settlers did other things, and a whole bunch of other things happened. And here we are, United States of America. Christopher Columbus is the one who started all of that in motion. People like, well, some Vikings found America 400 years before that, but nothing happened. They saw it and they didn't do anything. Christopher Columbus saw it and something actually happened. So the people who are actually able to make things happen get more credit than the people who maybe just known about something. It ain't about who did it first, it's about who did it right. That's a line from a Drake song. Anyway, Christopher Columbus discovered America. Does anybody want to know what I think about Christopher Columbus? He discovered America. Even if you don't like Christopher Columbus, even if you don't like the idea of there already being people here in this land and the Native Americans got bullied and strong-armed out of their lands into reservations in which they are in now. Christopher Columbus gets the credit. So anyway, that's not the topic here today. Today's topic, we're talking about Donald Trump's expert Middle East diplomacy. It's a much better topic than Christopher Columbus, but I had to make sure I said that because I was just reading some replies on X about that. Andy AFF, good morning from Kentucky. Courtney, good morning. Marky Mark, Grand Rising. Leah, congrats on the gifter badge, and thanks for the gift early. Laura Iggy Lover from Oklahoma, good morning. Heather, the written pieces from Oregon, shout out to Oregon. John Paul from Massachusetts. Sherry, good morning from Arizona. Carol Ann Collins, Newburgh, New York. John Paul, thanks for the lightning bolts early on. Heather, thanks for the gifts. Cure Fan SC from Connecticut. Wayne Robinson, Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. Grace Bristol from North Carolina. Noel from California. Quail Ridge from Lincoln, California. Giga Dad said you didn't watch yesterday due to work. Well, the replay's on my YouTube channel, so you can always catch the replay. Linda Gale, checking in from St. Louis. Carol Ann Collins, Newburgh, New York. Jay Rocket, good morning from Delaware. Jennifer Stewart, good morning. House 19K said Columbus is as useless as Juneteenth. No, Columbus is more important than Juneteenth because Columbus actually discovered America, as I just said. Juneteenth didn't discover anything. Well, it was actually people getting notified in certain places that slavery was over. I understand the value of Juneteenth. I knew about Juneteenth when I was in middle school. A lot of people didn't know about it till 5 years ago, but no, they're not equals. B, thanks for the follow. LDG, thanks for the share. User said, LMAO, Trump hates you. Okay, if you say so. But that's a early on straw man argument, and we'll give you something here. You said hate, so we'll give you this one. Emotional, damn it. User 348, congratulations. Sunfish, you put a thumbs down. I don't know what your thumbs downing. Abby, thanks for the follow. R Philly Inc. Good morning. Cecil Grant said, good morning from upstate New York. Rebel Mellow Yellow said, Susan from Shenandoah Valley, Virginia. Good morning. Mike Hirschfield, Wisconsin. Cedric, good morning. Kimberly from Minnesota. J Rocket said, you can't say we have TDS when you make Trump the topic every day. Well, if you got TDS, you got TDS. Making Trump the topic is playing the media game. That's not TDS. And what does your TDS have to do with me using a topic that gets people's attention to draw attention? I'm literally playing the game of getting attention.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
If you have TDS, that doesn't change that. What does one have to do with the other? That is a non sequitur.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Jules, good morning. Angela Morales, good morning from Michigan. Johnny424, tapping in from LA. Shout out to LA. Shout out to people on the West Coast up early in the morning. Cecil Grant, thanks for the follow. Ashley Matt, good morning. User 684, Bella checking in from Virginia. Patty Ingram from Mississippi. Ashley said, soundboard coming out early today. Yeah, I don't plan on using it early, but sometimes I have to. So we are going to talk about Donald Trump's expert Middle East diplomacy. He has achieved peace in the Middle East. I mean, who was able to do this before? Will Aviles over there on Instagram, good morning. No one's able to achieve peace in the Middle East. Barack Obama tried, he failed. CC from Alabama, good morning. Joe Biden, I'm not sure he really tried, but he failed. And here we are. Nobody else can get peace in the Middle East. George W. Bush damn sure didn't try to get peace in the Middle East, or he claimed he was trying to get peace in the Middle East. Did we give George W. Bush credit for trying to get peace in the Middle East? What do y'all say? Yes or no? Does George W. Bush get credit for trying to achieve peace in the Middle East? My vote is no. But y'all can, if you disagree, you can give a yes if you think so. What the hell is going on over on Rumble Studios? Giving me a little bit of trouble, but it's okay. We'll continue doing what we're doing here. Yeah, we're good either way. George W. Bush said he was going to install democracy in the Middle East. That didn't work. All right, that failed. That failed miraculously. It failed majorly. And Barack Obama sold us on the idea that people wanted democracy in the Middle East. He was also wrong. Donald Trump did something different. That's what we're going to talk about here today. So what Donald Trump unveiled was a 20-point Gaza peace plan in late September, which became the negotiating framework for both sides. Hamas formally agreed to release the remaining living hostages, which they did. Those hostages got released. Today is Wednesday, so it was like Sunday into Monday, those hostages got released. Some of you, if you looked online, you might have saw some of the videos of the hostages being released and reuniting with their family, a lot of them Israelis. And Hamas said they're going to release the hostages, transfer control in Gaza to a technocratic body, though it stopped short of full disarmament. But Donald Trump just said yesterday that Hamas must completely disarm. If they don't disarm, there's going to be problems. He's made it very clear. And again, we've talked about this. People believe him when he says, if you don't do what I'm telling you to do, we're going to have a problem. So that's what Donald Trump has threatened of Hamas. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. Israel released 2,000 prisoners. They had a lot more than Hamas had. They released 2,000 of them. This was not as big of a news item, the Israel prisoners, but they did have a bunch. They agreed to withdraw troops from designated lines and support humanitarian access under the first phase of this entire accord. Now, what I heard is that the day later, both sides are accusing the other one of violating the treaty or the agreement. It's not actually a treaty, but violating the agreement within like 24 hours. But Donald Trump was able to achieve peace. He got praise from a lot of people in the Middle East, even people back home. Hillary Clinton gave him credit. Kamala Harris gave him credit. And it was somebody else who gave him credit. But it's very a rare thing when you hear a Democrat actually give credit to Donald Trump by name for doing what he got done. So this is a big deal, what he got done. We talked about this a couple of days ago. We're going to talk about it even more here today to talk more specifically about what he did, how he did it, and why this matters. Now, Donald Trump, actually, I introduce myself first for those who don't know me. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete, author, written a few books, done a few TED Talks, and run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Our job over here is to help you with the understanding that 85% of communication is nonverbal, help you master that 85% so that 85% of the work is done before you say a word, before you do a thing. This is how you get people to use their unconscious bias. You know that term, unconscious bias? I remember a few years ago, Starbucks had this controversy where a couple of black guys went into Starbucks in my hometown of Philadelphia. I don't live in Philly anymore. I live in South Florida, but in my hometown of Philadelphia, a couple of black guys went into Starbucks and they were sitting down and one of them tried to use the bathroom. And a woman who worked there, a white woman, wouldn't give him the code to the bathroom. It became this whole controversy and the cops got called and all this stuff. And Starbucks had a PR black eye because of this. You remember that situation about 5 years ago? So Starbucks was getting protested and all this. Starbucks responded in the way any big public company has to respond. What they did was, and I'm explaining all this to help y'all understand what I do. What they did was they shut down for a day all their stores, and they did a training with all of their employees on unconscious bias. They were basically trying to train unconscious bias out of their employees so that that kind of thing didn't happen again, because Starbucks didn't want that PR backlash or that media black eye for them. This was stupid of Starbucks. It was great for the consultants, whoever they hired. They made a lot of money that day for doing something that is completely useless, because you cannot untrain unconscious bias. That's 6 billion years of human evolution creates unconscious bias. Unconscious bias are the snap judgments and instinctive ideas and beliefs we get about other people based on nonverbal communication. I'm saying all that to say what we do over here. My main thing that I do over here is help you master that nonverbal communication so that the unconscious bias that other people have and that you have actually works in your favor rather than working against you. If people's unconscious bias is working against you, there's something in your communication that is causing that. And if it's working for you, there's something in your communication that's causing that. So even though it's unconscious, and even though it is bias, even though it is judgment, even though it is instinct, and even though it is snap judgment that other people make, understand that there are things that you can do that make it work for you rather than having it work against you. What I do is help you master those nonverbal communications. Body language, posture, eye contact, energy, aura, all of those things, anything other than what you said. And then when it comes to time to actually talk, that only multiplies what people already believe. What all of you need to understand about unconscious bias is that people make snap judgments about you as soon as you walk in the room. And then when you actually start talking and you actually start doing things, whatever you say or do only confirms what they already believe. Even if what they believe is a lie, all they will do is come up with more reasons to continue to believe the lie based on anything you say or do. For example, Trump derangement syndrome is an example of that. People decide they hate Trump. Anything Trump does, they find a way to be negative. All right, that's the exact thing that I'm talking about. It's the same thing people do to you. just on different levels and for different reasons because you're a different person and they're different people. So you want to work with me directly. Again, text the word power to the number in my bio and you'll learn more about that. We call it the Power Presence Protocol. I teach people how to do this. I made it with men in mind, but women can use this as well. Anyway, that's not the topic here today. Topic here today is Donald Trump's Middle East diplomacy and his expertise in getting this done. Now, what Trump did was that he used pressure that he put on regional backers of Hamas. So in other words, Hamas had a whole bunch of people supporting them because there's a bunch of other entities in the Middle East that ain't so fond of Israel. And they're still not that fond of Israel. So they were basically supporting the existence of Hamas and Hamas's actions. Countries like Qatar, Egypt, they were supporting them and saying, Hamas, we got your back. If push comes to shove, which it already kind of did, we have your back in this situation. Donald Trump understood this. So unlike George W. Bush in saying we're going to just force democracy on these people, we're going to force a political style on them that they clearly don't want, which failed. George W. Bush, we all agreed he failed. Or Barack Obama, which is I'm going to use flowery language to make it seem like these people want democracy, and that's why we're going to do it. And then I'm really going to actually do a whole bunch of nothing, which is what Barack Obama did, a whole bunch of nothing, except giving speeches. Donald Trump understood the business game. Now, here is where we got to give a businessman credit for being president, or we got to give credit to the fact that a president is a businessman. Why? Because Donald Trump, he said this in his book, The Art of the Deal. I mention this all the time. His thing is closing deals. His thing is negotiating and closing deals. That's what he loves to do. That's what he lives to do, is close deals, negotiate, and just get things settled, especially when other people have failed to do so before him, such as Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama, and Joe Biden. He gets to come in and do what they all failed to do. And this is absolutely true. This is what he did. He realized that because these other people are backing Hamas, first thing he had to do was get them to lean on Hamas to accept the deal or risk losing financial and political support. In other words, Donald Trump realized that he had to be a little bit indirect here. He couldn't just go to Hamas and say, do this, and go to Israel and say, do that. People already tried that. Joe Biden tried it. Obama tried it. Bush tried it. Or some of them tried it. Not all of them really. And they all failed. He realized, okay, who's actually supporting Hamas? Okay, Qatar and Egypt. He went to Qatar and Egypt and he told them, look, you all are getting financial support from us, the United States of America. If you keep supporting Hamas and you keep giving them political support or financial support or just backing them, period, we are going to take our financial aid that the United States gives to your country, Egypt, Qatar, and we're going to pull it back. So you all are going to be in trouble if you don't do what I'm telling you to do. And because he did that, they said, okay, we'll back off. We're not going to support Hamas anymore. They made it well known we're not going to support them anymore because of this threat that Donald Trump made. That's the first thing that he did. So these Middle Eastern entities that were funding or mediating for Palestine, they would risk diplomatic isolation if they opposed the U.S. engagements. And Donald Trump basically said, we have more power than you. We have more resources than you. So if you all don't do what we want you to do, we're not going to support you anymore. And therefore, your support of them is not going to mean as much because y'all ain't got anything. And if push comes to shove, again, we got to jump in here. More bad is going to happen to you than bad is going to happen to us. And they understood that he was telling the truth. They understood that he might actually do it. That's the next part, not just talking about it, Barack Obama, but actually he might actually do it. This is the reason why they capitulated. They pulled back their support of Hamas. That's the first thing he did. Now, some argue that Hamas only agreed because the U.S. promise of security guarantees and international oversight made rejection too costly. Maybe, let's just say that that's the case. Let's say that some people say the only reason Hamas agreed is because they didn't want to lose the security guarantees from the United States. I say, okay, so is that a bad thing? That's a good thing. The United States said, look, if you all in this conflict with Israel right now, we will support you and defend you in the future. We'll give you security, but we're only giving you security as long as you agree to these terms that we're giving you. And Hamas said, okay. And people say, well, that's the only reason that he was able to get the deal done. Doesn't matter what the only reason were. If you think there was only one reason, there were multiple reasons. But even if you think there was only one, so what? This is a results-based business. The result is he got the deal done. And again, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, they all tried to get the deal done. They all failed to get the deal done. We go further back. Bill Clinton, George H. Bush, they all failed to get deals done. Well, George H. Bush didn't really try to get a deal done. Bill Clinton didn't, not really. George W. Bush failed miserably. Barack Obama talked, did nothing. Joe Biden did a little bit, not quite. Donald Trump got it done. This is what happened. So Hamas might have calculated that refusal would have invited forced regime change or military action, and he's right. I mean, not he's right, but they're right, because all of you who are supporters, Palestine supporters, maybe not Hamas supporters, but Palestine supporters, what's been the main thing everybody's been saying about this conflict over the last 2 years? They've been calling it genocide. They've been saying that Israel is just destroying this country, and they're going way too far. Yes, they have a right to defend itself. Israel has a right to defend itself. Everybody's been saying that ever since October 7th of 2023. However, what people are saying is that they're going a little bit far. They're going extra. Hasn't that been the frame the entire time? Yes, you have a right to defend yourself, but you're defending yourself a little bit too much. You're defending too much. By now, it's not defense anymore. Now you're just going on offense, and you're destroying this country. You're killing innocent people, et cetera, et cetera. This has been the frame around this whole conflict for the last 2 years. So when Trump comes out and says, hey, we will defend you and offer you security, but as long as you follow the rules that you're agreeing to here, then we're good. They had to accept that, because had they not, given what we already knew, what was happening, they could have got turned into a parking lot. Now, same thing I said about the Ukraine-Russia situation. They could turn them into a parking lot. They don't have the resources to defend themselves. The only defense they possibly had was the other Middle East powers who were backing and supporting Hamas. This is why Donald Trump had to go to them first. He had to take away their support system, which he did by going to the other Middle East entities, getting them to say, okay, we're not going to support anymore. Then going to them and saying, okay, now you know you don't have any support anymore. The only security you can get is really from us. And if you want security from us, then you have to do what we're telling you to do. Otherwise, we won't defend you. And this other country that you're in conflict with, this is going to continue to destroy you and your citizens. And you see how this is going. You see how it's been going for the last 2 years. What do you want to do? And he basically gave them no option. He gave them two options, but either option worked for him. So this is what you call giving people that binary, but it's not a false binary. It's a real binary, where no matter which choice they take, it works in your favor. This is a great negotiating tactic. Any of you who's ever in a negotiation, you know this is what you really want to do. You don't want to necessarily put your counterpart in a position where they feel like they have no choices and they just have to do what you say, because even though they may do it, it feels like you're forcing their hand, and they may resent that. And then later on, when they have the opportunity, they're going to get you back. What Donald Trump did, and this is the way you want to do it, is you want them to feel as if they have options, but no matter which option they take, it works in your favor, which is what Donald Trump did. You got options. You could do this, or you could do this. But whichever one they pick, the USA was going to be in a powerful position. And again, only an expert negotiator can make that happen. George H. Bush, Bill Clinton, W. Bush, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, none of them was able to do this. Donald Trump was able to do it. Again, this is literally the art of the deal. Now, on the Israeli side, Trump spoke their language. All right, security guarantees, withdrawing of troops, prisoner exchanges, because the big thing with Israel was we got to get these hostages back, because it was supposed to be maybe 50-ish hostages, 20 of them who were still alive, at least that they knew of, were released on, I believe it was on Monday or Tuesday. Those hostages got released, and it was a big deal. It was all over the internet. Y'all didn't see the videos, go look it up. You see the videos of the hostages being released and reunited with their loved ones. So this is what he was saying, Israel, while positioning the deal as limited and conditional, not total capitulation. So he let them know, hey, this is what I'm going to do. He let this side know, here's what I'm going to do with you. Here's what I'm going to do with you. So Bibi over there in Israel, he could frame this compliance as tactical, because there are a lot of people over there, his people, because Donald Trump understood this as well. I got to go back to my people, Bibi. I got to go back to my people and explain, why are we taking our foot off these guys' necks? After what they did on 10/7, I believe, y'all tell me what y'all think. Do you believe that there's a lot of people in Israel who said, keep your foot on their necks and completely destroy them on all levels until there's nothing left? The entire land itself. How many of you think that there are people in Israel who still feel that way to this day? Give me a yes or a no. How many of you think that there are people there who feel that way after 10/7, that they're like, just destroy all of it, just tear it all down? So I'm getting a bunch of yeses. I got a couple no's. I mean, a bunch of yeses, a few no's coming in here. So this is what Donald Trump understood. Again, this is what your previous presidents did not get. Our previous presidents did not get. Donald Trump understood that in order to get Bibi, that's Mr. Netanyahu, the person in charge of Israel, the leader of Israel right now, in order to get him to agree to this deal, because to agree to this deal means Israel is going to stop destroying Palestine. How are we going to get them to do that? Because there's a bunch of people in Israel who are excited to destroy them after 10/7. Same way that a lot of Americans want to destroy whoever after 9/11. Right? The same is kind of similar energy. So how are we going to get Bibi to back off and stop destroying them because they feel morally, what's the word? Vindicated, let's say, for lack of a better term, for doing what they're doing. So he went to him and told him, here's how you can frame this. Maybe he didn't say this in so many words. We don't know the exact conversation. But he allowed Bibi Netanyahu to frame this as a tactical move, not necessarily we're going to stop destroying them, because that would make him look weak. And we know Bibi didn't want to look weak to his own people. You can't make a leader look weak to his own people, because they're not going to trust the leader. And what's the point of you doing the deal? So they got to frame this as a tactic, not giving away core territorial control. So again, this was Donald Trump understanding the mindset of the people that he was working with. This is the main thing you have to do when you're in a negotiation. Is not so much about the physical form, so to speak, of who or what you're dealing with. It's about the mind behind whoever's in charge. You understand their mindset, what they need, and what matters most to them. That's what you speak to, and that's how you get the deal done. Same thing you do in sales. You understand the mindset of the person you're dealing with. It's not so much about your product or service that you're offering. It's about, what about my product or service serves whatever's going on in the mind of the person who I'm talking to. And when you understand that, then the whole conversation needs to be about that, not about your product or your service. A lot of salespeople mess this up, and they end up talking too much, talking about their stuff, what they're offering, when you haven't even understood who your customer or client is, or your prospect is. And Donald Trump understands his prospects very well. This is the reason why he's been in business for so long, because he understands how to get deals done, not based on my stuff is so great, my tower is going to be so beautiful, is going to bring in, maybe it could be about bringing in money. But Trump understands that when he's going into a negotiation or a business conversation with someone, he understands what they want and what they care about. And when he's able to speak to that, he's able to get deals done. So if you read his book, The Art of the Deal, he talks about this a lot. How when he played a role in rebuilding the skyline of New York City, which he did, even if y'all don't want to give him credit, when he played a role in rebuilding that skyline, he understood that the city didn't look good at that time, didn't look good like in the media, that it was known for being a high crime area, Manhattan specifically, known for being high crime. People didn't want to go to Manhattan. Money was not being spent in Manhattan. And mayors of cities, just like governors of states and just like presidents of countries, always want to be able to tout the strength of the economy. You notice that presidents do this, governors do it, mayors do it. Why do they all talk about the strength of the economy? Because when the economy is going well, that means a bunch of people have jobs, everybody's making money, and people are optimistic about the future. And when those things happen, what do people do? They spend money, they invest, they take out loans, they use credit, and that makes the economy move. And when the economy is moving, more of that stuff happens. More building happens, more people buy houses, more people buy cars, more people go out and shop, more sales taxes collected, the government collects more money, and everybody is happy because everybody has money. When people have money, they're happy. When money is moving and everybody has a way to make money, people are happy. And when the opposite is happening, everybody is sad and disappointed. So Donald Trump understood this at the time in New York in the 80s going into the 90s, that New York needed money to be moving. So what does that have to do with him? Because a lot of people wanted to build buildings in New York. Donald Trump went to the mayor of New York and whoever was in charge at that time, not just the mayor, but the people in charge, the administrations in New York. And he said to them, look, I want to build something here because I want to bring the city back. So he's speaking to their desires. I want to bring the city back. I want the city to not be I don't want there to be a black eye on Manhattan. I want to rebuild the skyline. I want to make it beautiful again. I want to make it a destination location where people come and they take pictures and they go on vacation and they do all the stuff in New York. The Times Square that you see now was not that in 1990 or 1985. It was not that. That was not a place you wanted to hang out. So Donald Trump understood that this is what the mayors wanted. This is what the city officials wanted. He went to them and said, okay, I'm going to do it, Here's what I need in exchange. In exchange for me doing this, I need to not pay taxes on this land. I need to get these deals without having to come out of my pocket with any money. I want everybody other than me to pay for it, but I want to have complete ownership and want to put my name on it. And he basically got himself a sweetheart deal. How was he able to get these beautiful deals? Because he knew the mindset of the people he was working with. He explains all this in his book. If you read his book, The Art of the Deal, he talks about this in not necessarily in detail, but he explains it well enough that you understand and he understands it. And this is the type of person that he is. Again, this is why he called the book The Art of the Deal, because his whole thing is making deals. The key to making deals is you must understand your prospect, not your product. Yes, you should know your product, know your products and be able to explain them. But the key to making the deals, you got to understand the mindset of the person you're talking to. He understood the mindset of Hamas. He understood the mindset of Bibi Netanyahu. That's why this deal got done. Moving on. Critics note that Trump's threats, such as complete obliteration if Hamas didn't comply, well, they knew they would get completely obliterated. He didn't have to do anything. He could let Israel completely obliterate them if they wanted to. All he had to do was back off and take away their support, or what are they going to do? You ain't got no choice but to get beat up if they would have got completely obliterated. And at the same time, he's still saying it to this day, that if Hamas is supposed to be completely disarmed, they got to completely disarm themselves, and if they don't disarm, then something's going to happen. He was asked by the media exactly what. He said something's going to happen. Then they asked him, oh, how would you do that? He said, well, I don't have to explain to you how, but it's not going to be good for them. And he's right. And Hamas understands that, because the USA can send troops in there, or we could just stand back and say, Israel, do what you want to do. You just let the dog off the leash. It pretty much be over. So this raised the stakes to a forced Hamas into a corner. It reduced really genuine consent. And at this point, it's not really so much about whether they consent or not, because they really have their hands tied behind their backs with no backing. Hamas has no backing from other entities in the Middle East. Well, what else? What are they going to do? They have no choice but to get wiped out. And a bunch of civilians could get wiped out in the process, and I don't think they want that blood on their hands. So this strong rhetoric is a little bit more coercive than it is agreement-based, but sometimes you got to use it. Everything is not about necessarily getting agreement. Sometimes you got to flex your muscles. As the saying goes, Young Jeezy has a line in one of his songs. He says, what's the point of having muscle if you don't flex? And Donald Trump understands America has muscle. That's the reason why he's able to flex. And he's not just flexing to show off like Barack Obama. He's flexing to say, like, I will actually use this if you don't want to play ball. Now, Trump also timed this proposal to exploit strategic vulnerabilities. There had just been an airstrike by Israel, and there was internal pressure in Gaza, making Hamas feel exposed at that moment. And this tactical timing wins negotiations more often than moral leverage. It's another thing about negotiation that a lot of people need to understand, getting deals done, is that the timing matters. Mastering the Art of Timing is one of the 48 Laws of Power. My favorite book. It's by Robert Greene. Those of you who haven't read it, I suggest that you do. Timing matters. You got the right product, right service, right idea, right sales pitch, and the right customer. But if you go to them at the wrong time, you won't get the deal done. Take all those same elements, go to somebody at the right time, you get the deal done very easily. So timing matters a lot. So what was happening with Hamas, they were in a vulnerable state. He came to them right at the right time to get them to capitulate and go along with what he wanted them to go along with. So again, this is the expertise of a person who knows how to negotiate. Good morning. What's going on? What's this? Give me that. I need that. What is this? So we have a visitor. All right, wait. Careful. We don't want to shake the table. Can you get up here? Now, skeptics say Trump's plan builds in ambiguity, especially on disarmament and long-term government, so parts will be left unresolved. Wait a minute. I'm talking. Don't interrupt me. So parts of it will go unresolved, and that Israel still retains leverage. I say, of course they retain leverage. How would they not have leverage? They were already destroying them before Donald Trump got involved. You want me to read this book to you?
Yeah.
It's called We Don't Eat Our Neighbors. And the person who writes the words, this is the author, Daniel J. Mahoney. But I have to finish my live stream before I can read this book.
No, read it.
I'm in the middle of my live stream. I can't stop to read this book. You have to wait. You know the rules. Now, future talks may revert to familiar conflict unless enforcement mechanisms are strong. And clearly, we already know that enforcement mechanisms are going to happen because Donald Trump just said this yesterday. He was speaking to the media that if Hamas does not close the door, if Hamas does not capitulate and go along with what he's telling them to do, then there's going to be problems. So the ambiguity in this plan basically leaves space for the United States to do whatever they want or need to do if Hamas does not go along with the proposed deal, which they should, because why would America need to be super clear on every single thing and make promises? America doesn't have to make any promises. The only promise Donald Trump has to make is that if you don't go along with this plan that I'm proposing to you, we're going to come in and destroy you, or we're going to allow your opponent who was already destroying you to complete their destruction of you. So which one you want? All right, so either you're going to get destroyed by us or by them, or you can go along with this plan. What you want to do? Now, again, it sounds like you're giving people options, but you're really not. And there's nothing wrong with this. When you have the leverage in a negotiation, this is what you're supposed to do. And sometimes you got to step on somebody's neck to get them to understand, because clearly Hamas ain't, I don't know what we want to call them. I don't know if they're that much of a diplomatic entity. I don't think we would call them that. So he bypassed traditional diplomatic delays by using direct envoys. So who he sent over there was actually Jared Kushner, who is his son-in-law. Jared Kushner is a real estate guy. So he sends Jared Kushner, the husband of his daughter Ivanka. Jared Kushner goes over there. Steve Witkoff, another real estate guy, and covert intermediaries. In other words, people who we don't know. And he accelerated the trust and the flexibility of getting the deal done. He didn't do everything through the traditional ways, like having this, you fly in and all the cameras are there. You had a big meeting. You had political guys, et cetera, et cetera. Donald Trump didn't do that. He sent some people who are not even really political guys in to do the negotiations on his behalf. And that's how he was able to accelerate the trust and the flexibility. And these real estate guys are the ones who actually got the deal done. Donald Trump kind of came in later to kind of put his stamp on it, but it was really Kushner and Witkoff doing a lot of the negotiations that got this deal done. So this back channel diplomacy often succeeds where formal channels stall. And why is this? Because in politics, I've told you all this many times, politics is all about optics. It's all about how things look. And when you do the traditional ways of negotiating, the president flies in and they get off the plane and then people salute them and shake their hand. And you got all the dignitaries lined up to shake the hand, and you got the photo ops and all that. When you're doing everything above board, so to speak, and everything's on camera, people care a whole lot about how they look, because you can't have a leader looking weak in front of the cameras, because then it's going to hurt their entire country, hurts their standing, hurts their presence, their aura, and people may not listen to them or follow them anymore. And they may have another election coming up that they can't afford to look bad before that election comes up. So those optics matter a ton. So Donald Trump, again, the art of the deal, understanding this, said we can't do it this way. How about we do back channels where we have the tough conversations, but we're not going to have them on camera, so that, yes, we're going to tell you something that you're going to have to compromise on, Mr. Leader, but we're not going to say it to you in front of the cameras to where you look weak to everybody optically. We're going to say it behind closed doors, not in front of the cameras, to where you understand that you kind of are weak. We're not making you look weak. You are weak. We're going to help you understand that, but we're not going to embarrass you. At the same time, we're going to tell you the truth so we can get this deal done. Again, the art of the deal. Biden, Obama, Bush, Clinton, the other Bush, none of them could get this done because none of them had the resources. None of them were thinking in this way. So this back channel diplomacy often gets things done where other formal channels stall. And this is where relationships come into play. Your ability to have conversation comes into play. Could you imagine someone like Kamala Harris trying to get something like this done? Do you think she would even have does she even have the mental wherewithal to even think of these things that I'm talking about? I don't think so. Now, some will counter that earlier administrations like Obama and W. Bush, they failed because they tried to impose Western democracy. This is what George W. Bush tried to do. So for those who don't really understand what George W. Bush did, after 9/11, George W. Bush comes out, and of course, Americans are riled up. We want to go get whoever did this. And that was supposed to be Osama. All right, so Osama eventually gets got. This is allegedly Afghanistan. Allegedly. Will we ever truly know? We don't really know. Then George W. Bush comes out shortly after that, and he says, we believe Iraq has something to do with this. And they have WMDs, and we got to go get the WMDs. And this became the whole thing. Weapons of mass destruction. They got these. They're getting ready. They're going to do something else to us. It went from this small group led by this one guy, Osama. They did 9/11 to, wait a minute, these guys over here who doesn't look like they had anything to do with this, but we were at war with them 10 years ago. They have weapons of mass destruction. They're about to attack us. We got to go get them before they attack us. So we got to go preemptively strike them. All of America was already scared and nervous and anxious after 9/11, and all of America, Congress, said, okay, let's go do it. Let's go get these guys who have nothing to do, allegedly, with what just happened to us, allegedly, and we're going to go to war over here. Then we're at war for 10 years. And what was achieved during that time? Anybody answer that question? Because for those who don't know, this is what was supposed to happen. When we went into Iraq in 2003, this is what was supposed to happen. We were supposed to get rid of Saddam, which we did, capture and destroy the WMDs, which didn't exist. We were going to go after something that didn't exist. There were no WMDs. That was a complete lie that we bought, that was sold to us. We bought it, and we went in there with our troops. And a lot of years, a lot of money, and a lot of lives got lost. American lives got lost in that process. We were supposed to capture and destroy the WMDs, which we never found because they didn't exist. And this is what was supposed to happen. We were supposed to topple that dictatorial regime over there in the Middle East, and we were supposed to install democracy over there in the Middle East. That was what was supposed to happen. A lot of people don't even know that. We were supposed to install democracy over there. Question, is there any democracy over there? I'm giving away the answer. Is there any democracy in the Middle East? All right, because that's what George W. Bush sent our troops in there for. We're supposed to be installing democracy. All right, is there any democracy installed in the Middle East? There is no democracy in the Middle East. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to install a diplomatic regime because George W. Bush told us that that's what the people over there need. This is his frame. They need democracy so they can be more like us. This is the American arrogance. And a lot of Americans still have this arrogance. This is American arrogance that these other countries, they want to be like us. So let's destroy what they have and make them live the way we want to live because they need it. That was George W. Bush's plan. Clearly, that didn't work. He gets replaced by Barack Obama. Barack Obama comes in, and he has a little bit different tone. Here's what Barack says. Barack Obama said, they want to be like us. They don't need to be like us. George W. Bush was going to force feed it. Didn't work. Barack Obama said, no, we're going to do it in a more calmer way. We're going to get them to want to be like us. We're going to get them to want democracy. Question, it's 2025. Barack Obama was president from 2008 to 2016, early 2017. Is there any democracy in the Middle East? Again, let me ask the question a second time. Is there any democracy in the Middle East? No. So the George W. Bush model, we're going to make them take democracy, failed. The Barack Obama model is we're going to sell them democracy. We're going to sell it to you. We're going to sell you on democracy through my beautiful oratory. Barack Obama, amazing orator, did not achieve this of selling democracy to the Middle East. So this is what these previous administrations failed to do, for those of you who don't understand the context. They wanted to do some soft power abstraction or impose things by force. They didn't tie it to incentives of what local actors value. This is what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump this is what George W. Bush did. He said, we're going to force our way onto you. Barack Obama said, we're going to sell our way onto you. Donald Trump said, I'm not going to sell you or force you anything. What I'm going to do is look at what you want. I'm going to sell you more of what you want and get you to agree with me because I'm going to offer you what you want in one hand, and I'm going to give you what you need in the other hand. That's what Donald Trump did. That is the art of the deal. This is why this is an expert display of diplomacy by Donald Trump, because he understood the negotiation process, which is not force people to want your product or service, give them the product or service that they want, while at the same time inserting the product or service that they need. It's like feeding medicine to a dog. Any of you ever fed medicine to a dog? Any of you who's ever done it understands you cannot just give medicine to a dog. You can't just feed them the pill. If you put the pill in your hand and you give it to the dog will eat it at first. As soon as it tastes it and realize that it's not some good tasting food, it will spit it back out. Therefore, the dog has not taken the medicine, but the dog needs the medicine. So what do? You got several options. How do y'all feed medicine to your dogs? Give me in the comments, what do you do to feed medicine to your dogs? In the past, I don't own dogs now, but I have fed medicine to a dog in the past. You could wrap it up in some deli meat. You can mix it up in some peanut butter. What's some other things you can do? A bunch of you are saying pill pockets. You can hide it inside a treat. You can hide it inside of a toy. You can hide it in their food. You wrap it in something desirable. Wrap it up in cheese. Some of you say. Some say force it. I don't know if you can force it, depending on what it is. Will said put it in the food. Yeah, so this is what Donald Trump understood. Flying Colors over there on YouTube said filet mignon. I wouldn't waste filet mignon on a dog, but hey, pet owners are a different breed. So, no pun intended. So, Donald Trump understood this. Instead of trying to force feed an idea on people who didn't want the idea, he instead said, okay, they have their way. I'm not going to try to force feed them my way. What I'm going to do is tell them how they can get their way even more by going along with my plan. It's the same way he built what he built in New York. Same way Donald Trump has those beautiful buildings in New York is because he went to the mayor and said, I know what you want. I'm going to help you get what you want. I just need you to help me get what I want, and we can work together. And the mayor said, excellent, let's do it, Mr. Trump. And now you got Donald Trump being Donald Trump because he was able to get those deals done because he understands human psychology a lot better than George W. Bush and Barack Obama understood human psychology. Who knows what Joe Biden understands? And we know Kamala Harris doesn't understand much. So this is the reason why he's able to get the deal done. His deal reflects a transactional approach. Donald Trump is a transactor. Is that a word? Transactor? Yes, transactor. He's not a diplomat. He's not a politician. He's a transactor. So if any of you has ever wondered, why is it beneficial to have a businessman as president of the United States of America, is this deal right here is a good reason why. Because he understood that this is a transaction. We're not friends. They're not our friends over there. They don't want us to be their friends. They don't want to live like us. They don't want our democratic political system. So I'm not going to sell them any of that shit. I'm going to do a transaction with them because that's what they understand. They understand transactions. Let's do a transaction. That's the language that you speak. Let's speak that language. Whereas previous politicians, they tried to do the political thing and it failed. Again, as the examples I gave you of our previous presidents. Now, the deal underscores why a businessman in the Oval Office can succeed, which I just said. Credible consequences, which people believe he will actually do the stuff that he says. He offered measurable outcomes, and he forced the other side to choose between profit and punishment, as I've already explained to you. He said you could do this or you could do this. And again, it makes them feel like they have a choice when no matter which one they choose, the United States comes out on top. That's a skill. So in conflicts, again, you need real politics. Real politics is let's just talk about the brass tacks here, what really matters. And that's what Donald Trump did. Now, his opponents are still going to try to rewrite this narrative. They're going to say, well, Biden laid the groundwork, or Anthony Blinken laid the groundwork, or this deal would have happened anyway. I say nonsense, bullshit, no, it wouldn't. It's been 20 years. At least 20 years. Actually, been more than 20 years. When are we going to the Gulf? 1992? 91? Whatever year that was. So what's that? 35, almost 35 years? It has not. This has been a long time coming. We haven't been able to get anything done. We've seen this with past administrations trying to take retroactive credit for something that got done. And this is another one that y'all should keep in mind. Keep this in mind whenever you hear anybody trying to give previous administrations credit for what Donald Trump just got done. Notice that they only do this when something good happens, but nobody wants to take credit for the economy. If the economy goes down, you don't hear Joe Biden saying, well, hey, that was my economy. But if the economy is good, you hear Barack Obama saying, well, yeah, Trump had a strong economy because it was my economy. So it was yours when things go good after you, but it's his problem when things go bad after you. Very convenient for politicians. They all do this, but it's all part of the game. We've seen past administrations fail to get this done. HW started this shit. Bill Clinton didn't really do anything. W. Bush exacerbated and made it worse. Barack Obama tried to talk his way out of it and failed. Joe Biden did a little bit, but not much. And Donald Trump closed the deal. Again, the art of the deal. Donald Trump got this deal done. Now, for Donald Trump's base, I know some of you are Trump base members, MAGA supporters. This is a signature foreign policy win after failures of predecessors who talked about peace but never delivered the peace. You could talk all day about what somebody else laid the groundwork for, and this person almost did this person almost did that. Donald Trump delivered peace. People remember who actually delivered the goods. Donald Trump delivered the goods here. Again, you don't have to like Donald Trump. Please keep liking the live over there on TikTok. I know you are enjoying what I'm talking about here. Please keep liking the live. Don't get lazy on the tapping the screen. We're at 69,000. We need to get to 100,000 every day. He delivered this. And he freed hostages. He ended what was essentially a war. This is a tangible result that domestic audiences can respond to. They are chanting his name in Palestine right now. Even Israel, chanting his name, Donald Trump, thank you, Donald Trump, for getting this deal done. And they wouldn't give him the Nobel Prize. He just achieved peace in the Middle East that no one else could achieve. The Middle East couldn't achieve peace in the Middle East. The other presidents couldn't achieve peace in the Middle East. He comes in and achieves peace in the Middle East, 10 months into his administration? And they wouldn't give him the Nobel Prize. I already told y'all, these awards that are based on subjective opinions, they're based on who likes who. If people who choose the award winners don't like you, then you don't get the award. But nobody can change the reality, the historical fact that the peace in the Middle East was achieved by what Donald Trump was able to negotiate. See, there's no award for that. This is Drake got a song called Trophies, right? He said they ain't got no awards for that. Ain't no award for that. But he got it done. That's the reality. He achieved the peace in the Middle East. No award changes that fact. Whether he got the award or didn't get the award does not change the fact that he achieved peace in the Middle East. That happened. Now, sustainability is the test. Can this peace remain? Remember, the thing about leaders in America as opposed to these other countries is that often these other countries' leaders stick around for a long time. Bibi Netanyahu been a leader in Israel for 35 years. Presidents in America only get 4 years. 8 at the most. Donald Trump had 4 before. He gets this 4 and then he's done. So imagine if Gavin Newsom comes in 2028. They might go right back to fighting Israel, Hamas. They might go right back to fighting. If Gavin Newsom comes in or Kamala Harris comes in, they can just rip this whole agreement up and go right back. Why? Because the person who made the agreement happen, Donald Trump, is no longer there. We don't have to honor this anymore. Their president is who? Kamala Harris? Oh, really? Okay. Let's go do this again. They're going to do it. It might be another 10-7. Could happen. If Kamala Harris is the president, if Gavin Newsom is the president, they don't have the resources or the skills that Donald Trump has. They know how to play politics. They don't know how to get deals done. Those are 2 different things. Playing politics and getting deals done are 2 different things. This is the reason why, again, Donald Trump's Donald Trump. And Newsom is Newsom, Harris is Harris. So if Hamas reneges on this, there can be more violence, and there can be stalled reconstruction. Or critics will say that this was a lasting peace, but not a real peace. But that's not going to be on Trump because the peace will last as long as Trump's around. As long as he's around. The problem is he's gone after 2028. So many past Middle East deals collapse under the stress of implementation. This is true. I don't think this one's going to collapse. And if it does, there's going to be hell to pay probably for Hamas more than anybody else. All that said, folks, let's get into the comments. Let's see what we got. In Instagram, Wesley D said, because the USA is a business and we need to run it that way. In some ways, you're correct. Wesley says, still needs to get the remainder of our hostages back. Yeah, there's still some hostages that they're trying to get back. Let me take a quick restroom break, folks. Let me run to the restroom real quick. This will take me 90 seconds, and then I'll get into the comments, and then we'll get into
more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
And our favorite sound.
Strawberry cheesecake.
90 seconds, and we'll be right back to the comments.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
All right, let's get to it. Whoa. Let's get to it. What do y'all got in the comments here? I'm reading the comments from oldest to newest. So I'm not necessarily ignoring your comment. I might ignore your comment, but not because I'm trying to. I'm reading the oldest to the newest. So I'm catching up as far back as I can go. Miguel said, just because you make a deal first doesn't mean it's a good deal. Well, that's a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Congrats, Miguel, for the first straw man of the day, where you have repurposed my point into something that I didn't say in order to make it easier for you to argue against. This is not the first deal. There have been plenty of deals. Gulf War had a deal. George W. Bush allegedly kind of sort of made a deal. Obama kind of made a deal. Biden kind of made a deal. Donald Trump sealed the deal. And this is a good deal because it got hostages released, first of all. That on that point alone, it makes it good. Thank you for the follow, 100 with the hands. I don't know the name. Precision Installation said they are working on that now. They are running through the last of their ammunition on anyone who will challenge their power. Okay. Sandy Suzanya, thanks for the follow. Precision said they're wiping out the civilians on their own right now. You talking about Hamas? I've heard that. Brendan said you're flexing for the wrong side. What side am I flexing for? I don't think I'm picking a side. And if I am picking a side, the side I'm picking is the United States of America, which is where I live. So how is that the wrong side? Cheslaw said flexing muscles for evil. I don't think it's for evil. How so? What's your argument? Reek, thanks for the follow. James, thanks for the follow. Cheslaw said absolutely hates dudes trying to use surface level stuff and sounds smart. I'm out. All right, straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Guitar guy said, no problem. Remember cats in the cradle. What does that mean? Lexi said, I'm sorry, what is that title? I don't know what you're referring to. Oh, you're talking about the book? Oh, the book title was We Don't Eat Our Neighbors. I think it was about dinosaurs or alligators. He left the book already, so he left with the book already. Dabo, thanks for the follow. McCoy said that's a wild thing to say. What did I say? Nana B, thanks for the share. Echo said son-in-law is Jewish. Okay, yeah. Lisa G says not a peace treaty is Trump family land development plan. Okay, there's an argument. But they did achieve peace. They got the hostages released, didn't they? At Amy's house, thanks for the follow. Bayshore Jewelry, thanks for the share. Chicago One Ray said, well said. Thank you. Annette Aaron, thanks for the follow. Rick said, if it saved the life of someone I love, he can have all the land he wants. I agree with that. Chicago said, Trump sent B2s. JJ, thanks for the follow. Terry Boston Mom said, I believe his business experience is a big part. Yes, it is. That's what I've been explaining. Guitar said, destabilized the Middle East. Who are you talking about? Lisa said, Trump didn't write the art of the deal. Yeah, he did. The same way Columbus discovered America. I know he had other people help him write, but that's not some rare thing. Most known people, like let's say CEOs, executives, quote unquote, billionaires, politicians who write books, they don't actually do the writing. I have extensive background in the publishing world. They don't most of them don't write their own books. Many of your favorite influencers didn't write their own books. So yes, he did write it, quote unquote, because his name's on the book. He gets credit for it. And the content of the book is coming from his head. So even though he may not have sat and actually typed the words out, he still wrote the book colloquially because those are his ideas and his concepts that went onto the page. Chris said, out the point right when 9/11 happened. Okay. Niece said, Clinton funded bin Laden prior to 9/11. Okay. Ashley said, war is very profitable, especially when you can buy up the defense stocks or insider information. Fair enough. Yes, no democracy in the Middle East. And there's not going to be any democracy in the Middle East. And they don't want democracy. Echo said, that's why we are hated. This is true. And this is the reason why Trump is coming in and trying to fix things. The issue for America is that our presidents only get 4 to 8 years where their leaders stay forever. Niece said, is Obama Muslim? Not that I know of. PM Cash said Obama was president from 08 to 15. Well, he was president until actually 2017. Early 2017. Heck said, open their mouth and drop it in. I've seen some people do that, open their mouth and drop it in. I don't like playing around putting my fingers in the mouths of animals. I've never been a fan of that process. I get what y'all are saying. Those of you who are more comfortable with your animals, maybe you can get away with it. I've just never been comfortable doing it. I don't like playing around with teeth of animals. Maddie said, I have a St. Bernard. I must offer him a steak with that pill. A steak? Yeah, well, as long as he gets it, I guess that's good enough. Annette said, good morning. Answer said, Joe understands autopin. He does understand that. Petit Spaghetti, thanks for the follow. Terry Boston said, thank you, my thoughts always. Noah said, man, we need a career politician who's never gotten anything done their whole career. Well, we already got those. Justice and Peace said, excellent. I love the way you explain these things. Well, thank you. Great Babu said, Benedict Biden understands nothing. I think Biden did understand things. We got to give Biden some credit. He was very old and adult by the time he became president, but he understood things very well in his more cogent years. Problem is he became less cogent as soon as he became president. So unfortunate, bad timing for Joe Biden. So he was exact opposite of good timing. Blitzo Blitz, thanks for the follow. Annette said, Trump is the man. And then Suckham said Trump is getting played. So we got back-to-back very different opinions about Donald Trump. Some say he's the man. Some say he's getting played. Peace and justice. Thanks for the follow. Babu says, salute President Trump. Donnie Love said, I kind of miss Joe's corn pop story. I don't remember that story. Wifey Tips, thanks for the join. Chris said, Trump got the deal done because he knows how to do deals. This is true. 60 Kim CJ said, you. What does that even mean? Noah, thanks for the follow. RB said, wasn't Trump's term in the past 20 years? Yeah, but 10-7 didn't happen until 2023. And he did get something done in the Middle East during his first term, was, I think, recognizing the state of Israel. J. Rocker said, Trump's handed a good economy from Obama. Yeah, that's what Obama said. He said the same thing. Nana B, thanks for the follow. Dan, thanks for the follow. Lisa G said it's not peace. But they got hostages released. I think that's something. Pink O Leor, thanks for the follow. It depends on how you define peace. I mean, is America at peace? Depending on how you define it, you can say yes or no. Carmela, thanks for the follow. Susan said Obama and his close ties to Wall Street destroyed us. Over on YouTube, we got some commentating going on. Bernie said, MAGA puppets, he's on the list. All right, so somebody brought up the list, so we got to give you credit for bringing up the list. Every day somebody brings up the list. Shanti said, look at media personalities. I've never seen them anywhere tie clips. What the hell do I got to do with anything? Shanti, if I hire you for fashion consulting, you could tell me what to wear. I'm not traditional media personality. I don't work on CNN. I dress better than them, look better than them. So I'm not following them. You using them as a frame of reference is a bad idea.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Right, so Rick said, what war did he end? Who's he? Who you talking about? E8 said the nominations for the Nobel Prize end before he was president. All right, so that means he can get the next one. Kendrick said, why don't they like him? I don't know. I don't know if they don't like him. I'm saying as a general point that when people don't win awards, voting awards, then it's usually because the people who do the voting don't like that person if that person is pretty good. Again, I come from the sports world. So in the sports world, you got things like the MVP. That's based on people liking you. But the championship is not based on people liking you. It's just based on winning. That's the difference. Samantha Wood said, what piece? The hostage is getting released. Terry Lee said, liberal brains cannot comprehend truth. Well, Terry Lee, in the defense of the liberals, they say the same thing about conservatives. Thomas Flowers, thanks for the share. Guitar Guy said, look how Time Magazine making like he had no hair. That's vindictive. You heard him talking about that photo. I didn't see the photo. Let me see if I can look it up. Let's see this Time Magazine photo of Trump. I heard about it, but I did not look into it. So they say the photo tried to make it look like he didn't have any hair. Let's see this photo. Okay, so they have his triumph. I mean, they did put him on the cover of the damn magazine. So he's saying that the way the photo is. So here's the photo. Here's the Trump photo on Time magazine. So what some are trying to say is that this photo with the angle of the sun on his blonde hair makes it look like he doesn't have hair. And they say that Time magazine did this on purpose. I say, I don't know about that. I don't know. That's a little bit of a reach. I understand how maybe Trump may have an issue with this. Maybe he knows more about what they're doing than I do. But I say, I don't know about that. They did put him on the cover of the damn magazine. I mean, can't he just take the win? I don't know if I would look at this as them trying to do something to me. I don't know about that one. Shanti Harris said, just having fun. Would like to know more about the books on your shelf. Text the word live to my to the number that you see in my pinned comment. Actually, it's not a pinned comment anymore. For whatever reason, Rumble Studio didn't let me pin the comment here today. But you can text the word live right there. You can get links to all the books. Heck said, why did Obama get the Peace Prize? He didn't do anything to deserve it. Again, this is the whole thing about getting awards. The thing about awards, ladies and gentlemen, is it's based on the whims and the subjective opinions of the people who choose the winners. Obama got the Peace Prize. They can come up with whatever reason they want. They could say, I could very easily come up with an excuse to give Barack Obama a Peace Prize because his very existence represents that a country can vote for a black man to be president when that country has a history of racial negativity towards black people. So the fact that he got voted in as president is proof that there can be greater aspirations of a country, and a country can move forward despite its terrible racial history. So that's a good enough reason to give Barack Obama the Peace Prize. That's a good enough reason right there. So that's how he got the award. But I know he didn't do anything, but that's why he got it. Which is the reason why I don't like subjective awards. I'm generally just not a fan. Thomas Flowers, thanks for the share. Taco Breast said, your take is trash. All right, thank you.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Gabe said, Israel is still restricting aid. They're already fighting again. Yeah, I've heard. But they did get the hostage release. Nee said, no peace won't last in the Middle East. Well, we'll see. I can see how that could happen. Brian on Instagram, good morning. Kirk said they are fighting now. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be something happening. Again, how do you define peace? EA said Netanyahu's asking for all the dead hostages from Palestine or else it's not going to happen. Well, they said that some are buried under the rubble. So how are they going to get them? I mean, the rubble was created by Israel. So, I mean, what is he going to – how is he going to make that demand? Global said military on our streets. Well, it depends on what they're there for. Lisa G says a real estate development plan, not a peace plan. Well, they did get some peace. I mean, they got these people to agree to something. Ryan Cook, thanks for the follow. EA said, name one trade deal. What did I mention? What did I say about trade deals? I don't think I mentioned one. So you're asking me a loaded question. JLS, thanks for the follow. KYTV, thanks for the share. Renee, thank you for the pumpkin. Prince Maddie said, Democrats that fail to realize that they, and I didn't get the rest of your comment. Jason Worthington said, they will tear it up just because Trump didn't. Who's they? Renee said, proud to call him our president. Earl and Terrell girl. Good morning. Duke's mama said, I lost my spot in the comments. When I get to the bottom of the comments, sometimes TikTok automatically refreshes it. So then I got to scroll back up to find where I was at. Duke said that have some more chicken sounds like Chuck Schumer's voice. Does anybody else hear that? We did a deep dive to try to find out who these people were like 2 weeks ago. I don't think it's somebody. We found out who this guy was, but I don't think it was Chuck Schumer. I can't remember who it was. Gabe said the Democratic Party is imploding and will cease to exist in the next few years. I don't think so, Gabe. That's wishful thinking. Noah said, you bot liberals in the comments are pathetic. Anything Trump does is bad. Leah said, keep tapping. Let's get to 100K, which we did. Thank you, Leah, for telling people. Michael said, I just read one of the bodies returned is not a known identity of a hostage. I didn't hear that. Jeannie Freak said, famine isn't a form of diplomacy, it's a form of war. Okay, fair enough. 11 Bravo, good morning from South Carolina. Trump leading the way. Bane T said Trump needs to lend you some strands of hair. Oh, that's actually a good one.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
Bane T, I shave every morning though. So if I didn't shave, then I would have a full head of hair. I just shave every day because I got tired of going to the barbershop. JJ said the problem is the young people of today think everything is a video game. What does that mean? What's the significance of that comment? Milt D, good morning. Ashley Max said, Amen. America always. Tax Free said, you a gamer? Or is that a question? I'm not a gamer. I don't play video games. Maria Lopez, good morning. Squidberg said, you are just a streamer. I'm not a streamer either. I'm not a streamer nor a gamer. Neither one. RK said, how did Obama not sign a single peace treaty by the time he won the Nobel? Well, again, it ain't about you actually doing things to win the Nobel Prize. Winning the Nobel Prize is about the people who choose the winner liking you. That's how you win awards. That's how all awards get won. Rick Thomas said, thank you for the education. You're welcome. Guitar guy said, taking out Saddam. Yeah, that was the plan. It was the WMDs and Saddam at the same time. That was what it was. Let's see. Joseph Lincoln, thanks for the follow. Taylor Epperly said, thoughts on iPad. What about them? Rebel Mello said, you are awesome, unintentionally funny, and brilliant in the best ways. Well, thank you. RK said, thoughts on a Holy Land 5 supporter becoming mayor of NYC. I don't know what Holy Land 5 is, but if you're talking about Zoran Mamdani, I did a whole live about him about 2 months ago. You can find it on YouTube. If and when he actually wins the election, I'll probably do another live talking about him. So he's an interesting guy, Zoran Mamdani. Looks like he's going to become mayor of New York. So New York City, good luck. Good luck to y'all. Niece said, in Biden's younger years, he made foreign deals to line his pockets. Well, I can't confirm or deny that, but I understand what you're saying. Biden was in politics for a very long time. John Bravo, thanks for the follow. Prince Maddie, thanks for the heart. And congrats on joining the fan club. Leather and Pearls, thank you for the Go Popular. Jason USA, thanks for the follow. Leather and Pearls, good morning. John Bravo, thank you. Nana Cat said, keep an eye on Blaine T. All he's doing is spamming Dre with insults. Well, he can try. He can try. RK said, does anyone think after 4 years of Biden, the list is still undoctored anyway? There is really no list. Anything that comes out is not going to be anything useful. That's the problem with the list. Michael Horst said, the list is for the most part Democrats. I don't think there is a list. I don't think we'll ever see a real list. All it's going to be is people talking about it. It's like the Loch Ness Monster or who shot JFK. That's what this is going to become. The Addicts, thanks for the lightning bolt. Echoes, appreciate you. Boss Lee's mom, Terry Lee, thanks for the follows. Kendrick Job said they did him dirty on the cover. That's what he is saying. That's what his supporters are saying. I say, you're still on the cover of the magazine. Maybe he doesn't like the photo, obviously. But I don't know. Grumpy Gramps, thanks for the follow. Randy Rogner said, when the person received the award, honors the one who didn't. Is that what the woman did? Did she give Trump credit? I think I heard that. Kendrick said, if you compare it to the other covers, it's obvious. See, I didn't see the other covers. Okay, so I understand. I understand why Trump has had the media kind of coming at him sideways, to be nice, sideways for the last 10 years. So I understand how he can have an issue with anything that any of them do that uses his name, image, or likeness. I understand. Penny Brewer Johnson, thanks for the follow. Miss B said, from an angle of the photograph, looks like looking up to him. You know what I mean. I don't think that's what they were trying to communicate. I don't think that's what Time Magazine's idea was. Ashley, thanks for the heart. Me, good to see you. Randy Rogney says a popularity contest. Yes, it is. Popularity amongst the people who choose the award winners. That's what it comes down to. Not popular amongst just people in general. Because if it was popular amongst people in general, he should get the Nobel Prize. He's the damn president. That should be a good enough reason. RK said he literally didn't sign a single peace treaty and got the Nobel. Yeah, because getting the Nobel is not about signing peace treaties. Jay Rocky said, if everyone loves and respects Trump so much, why didn't he win the award? This is a straw man. Jay Rocker, come on.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Jay Rocker, that's like a 7th grade level straw man. You couldn't come up with something more clever than that. I only had to break that one down. L. Smith said awards don't mean much these days. Well, they do mean something because when you have the award, you can put it on your resume. And when you have an award on your resume, that bolsters your standing amongst the masses of people, because the average person doesn't understand the stuff that we're talking about, that this is how awards get won, and you might not even have to do anything to win an award, and you could be really good but never get an award. Most people don't think about these things on these levels. All they see is, oh, you got a Grammy Award. Oh, you got the Oscar Award. Oh, you won MVP. Oh, you got the Nobel Prize. They automatically assign credibility to you because you have the award, even though they have no idea how you got it. So the award does mean something if you get it. Like if they gave me the Nobel Prize, then I would definitely accept it. I would go to the ceremony and get the award. I would take a bunch of pictures with it. You would see it up here on the shelf behind me. I would let you know I'm a Nobel Prize winner every time that I got to introduce myself, and my price would go up. I would increase my prices in everything that I do because I'm a Nobel Prize winner. So it does matter. But at the same time, you can look at that, somebody who understands the game, and say, this guy didn't even do shit, and he got the Nobel Prize. And they might be telling the truth. So it does matter, while at the same time, you should not bet. You shouldn't bet your ego or your self-worth on winning these kind of awards just because of how they are given out and how they're decided on in the first place. So that's the way I would explain it. So they're often worthless awards, but they're very valuable awards at the same time, if you understand what I'm saying. So Karina said, Obama dropped 100,000 bombs. Doesn't sound very peaceful. Yeah, because that's not how you get the award. So user 438, thanks for the follow. Keep on living said, who pays tariffs? Well, it depends. It depends on the deal that you do. Jorge said, biblically speaking, only the Antichrist will bring peace to the Middle East for 3.5 years. Okay, I will just leave that right there. KB, thanks for the congrats on the member level. Randy said they're fighting each other for power. Yeah, of course they are. That's the whole point. Maria Lopez, thanks for the hearts. Keep on living said Antifa means anti-fascist, not a group of people. Well, it can be both. Antifa can be a group of people who are about being anti-fascism at the same time. So keep on living life. What you said there is not technically not true.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Leah said, can we meet the live goal? That's a good question. Can we meet the live goal, everybody? G Black, thanks for the heart. And the Go Popular. T Breezy said, why is everyone obsessed with Obama? Well, T Breezy, obsessed, that's a loaded comment. Loaded question. Why do people, well, I want to say it this way. I will explain, not ask. People use terms like obsessed and fixated when they don't want you focused on a certain thing, but they will give you credit when you focus on something that they want you to focus on. They'll say that you're determined and disciplined and locked in. But then when you focus on something that they don't want you to focus on, people use words like obsessed, because the word obsessed is used to make it seem like you have some type of unhealthy fixation on a subject. So T Breezy, that's a loaded question that you asked there. Why is it obsession? He was the president of the United States of America for 2 terms. He's one of the most famous people in the world. His name is one of the most known in the world. It's just people talking about him doesn't make them obsessed. Satine said, I appreciate your non-biased lives. Thank you. Marky Man said, the problem is it is okay to lie in the Middle East if it's for your benefit. Well, Marky, I would expand that and say it's okay to lie, period, if it's for your benefit, depending on what the lie is and if you can get away with it. Everybody lies. Men lie, women lie, as they say. Big Newt said, the most tired you ever been in college and still had to keep going. The most tired I ever been in college and still had to keep going? Where's this question coming from? I'm trying to think of a time in college that I was tired and I had to keep going. Keep going doing what? In college, I pretty much did what I wanted to do. So I don't know. I can't think of a time I had to keep going. Probably in basketball practice one day or something. Jorge say, why did I hear WNBA instead of WMD? Yeah, George W. Bush is going to look for the WNBA too. We couldn't find it back in 2003. C. Caps said, thoughts on participation trophies? Not a fan. Shouldn't be participation trophies. It just be trophies for winning. Fretchette, thanks for the follow. RK said, RIP NYC. Maybe. We'll see. That'll provide some material. I don't live in New York, but I'm sure we'll have plenty to say about New York if Zoran Mamdani wins that election over Cuomo. It looks like he's going to win. When is that election? Next month? They got to be coming up soon, right? When is the NYC election? Anybody know? Arthur Cruciate, thanks for the follow. User, thanks for the share. Addict said, ever since the mainstream media became unfair and biased, I've been looking for a source. You're it. Well, thank you. I'm glad to be. Jorge V said, what did Biden exactly do for the American people? Well, depends on what side of the political aisle you're on. But for about half of the interested public, he was not Donald Trump. And that's a good enough reason. That's a good enough reason to support Joe Biden. That was Joe Biden's campaign. I'm not Donald Trump. Now, it got used 3 times. It only worked once. Hillary tried it. It failed. Biden tried it. It worked. And Kamala tried it. And it failed. So 1 out of 3. I'm not Donald Trump worked. Jimmy Lankin said, do you think Trump will actually substitute the income tax with external taxes and tariffs? No, he's not going to be able to do that because there's going to be too much conflict and pushback from the establishment of what's already here in America for that to ever happen. You had to have multiple presidents, back-to-back terms, all trying to do the same thing for that to ever occur because that's not going to happen in 4 years. So no, he's not going to do that. He's talking about it and maybe he wants to. Is it actually going to occur? Not going to occur. Liberty said Trump is no peacemaker. Okay. J Rocket said for someone who's winning so much, he sure complains a lot. J Rocket, you ain't got no good material today. I'm disappointed. Jorge said T Breezy, I'm a U.S. citizen and U.S. Marine. Liberty said take a look at Obama's awards. He got a lot of awards. Obama got a ton of awards. Miss Charday, longtime Periscope follower. Shout out to Periscope followers from back in the day. Y'all remember Periscope? That was in like 2015. I used to do live streams on Periscope. Shout out to Periscope. No longer exists. Jamil Ankon, thanks for the follow. J Rocket said, how was that not a valid question based on what you literally said? Okay, that's a straw man. I think you're just trying to get the award.
Strawberry cheesecake.
All right, so J Rocket, you want the straw man award. You got the straw man award. Congratulations. Marky Man said, time should have used a picture of Trump getting shot. Stephen Albert said, Obama dropped those after he got the award. Yes, that is also true. T Breezy said, Trump needs to make peace in America before anything else. I think we have peace in America. I mean, look at all of us. We're sitting here on TikTok talking about him. It has to be peaceful enough that we can do this, right? How much war do we have? Camulus, thanks for the lightning bolt. So J Rocker was saying that I said a war is a popularity contest. If everyone loves Trump, why didn't he win? So this is a non sequitur.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
J Rocker, you're making an elementary level connection between 2 points that are not connected. I said awards are popularity contests. Yes, they are popularity contests. And this is what I also said. They are popularity contests amongst the people who choose the winners, not popularity contests amongst the entire world. So Donald Trump is president because he's popular amongst the voting bloc that voted him in. That doesn't mean everyone loves him. Your next sentence is if everyone loves Trump. So you're making a connection between award being a popularity contest and everyone loving Trump. But I never said everybody loves Trump. That's your straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
And then you're connecting it to a loaded question. Well, why didn't he win? Because everybody loves him. But your question is based on a false premise. So that's what makes it also a non sequitur, also a straw man.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
And I think you're angling for an award. So speaking of awards, here you go, J Rocket, getting an award. You get the Russell Westbrook triple-double award of the day.
Oh, baby, a triple! Oh, yeah!
That's when someone uses 3 logical fallacies in one statement. So there you go, J Rocket. You were angling for it. You got it. You're like Susan Lucci. Now you got the award finally. Stephen Albert said, Antifa is an organization that has been since 2007. Yes, Antifa is an organization. Joe Biden said Antifa is an idea. And he kind of got away with that because the virus was happening in 2020. Trump was going to lose. Well, who knows what happened in 2020? Let's just leave it at that. Liberty said, I never lie. Trump does. You do, not me. Okay, Liberty Dove. Then you should be doing live streams and telling everybody the truth. Curious fan said, New York elections November 4th. Okay, good luck, New York. So what is that? Today's the 15th, so you got about 16. Y'all got about 3 weeks. New York, y'all got 3 weeks till Election Day. I think Mondani's going to win. I think he gets sworn in probably in January. So I'm interested to see what happens to New York. I'm interested to see. I'm not moving to New York, but I'm interested to watch. I will watch that on TV. Jiminy said, what would be the first couple of things you would do as president of the United States? That's an interesting question. I'm not running for president of the United States. And That's not something I can answer right off the top because it really depends on what you could do. So there's a lot of things I could say, but what can you actually do? That's a different question. See, I might say something like, I'm going to eliminate all income taxes. That sounds good, and maybe people would vote for it and get all excited. But then the follow-up question is, how exactly are you going to do that? And I don't have an answer to that question. So I wouldn't answer that unless I actually knew how things really worked on the inside, which I don't know, so I can't answer that question. J. Rocket said, he's complaining about the photo. I was joking. Stephen Albert said, man, y'all, where was I? Y'all just hate Trump so much. He has done so much good for the country in such a short time. Well, a lot of people don't even believe that, Stephen. That's the issue. Are You For Real said, Trump's moral character denied him the Nobel Prize. So who's the judge of moral character? See, that's the issue. The issue is not that what you said is necessarily wrong. It's just your theory, your opinion. But who's the judge? Who judges other people's moral character? Who's qualified to judge the moral character of another person? I'm not a fan of judging the morals of another human being because no human is without sin. Canopolis, thanks for the follow. J. Rocker said, I graciously accept. I know you were trying to get it. You got the Susan Lucci. You're trying to get the award. You got it. J. Rocker need to hit the bed, take a nap, says Stephen Albert. Happiness Now said, who actually votes when someone is up for the Nobel Peace Prize? The committee that chooses the winner. This is a committee. I don't know how they do it. They have a committee that chooses the person who gets the award. That's the way a lot of awards work like that. Like the Oscars, the Grammys, the Emmys, that's all it is. The committee on the inside of a bunch of people who you don't know, they decide who gets the award. And then they get everybody to come to the show, and then somebody wins the award, and they get all excited, and they get up on stage, and they thank God and their team and all, and they give a little motivational speech, and they got that trophy. But that trophy matters because that trophy carries with it credibility. The fact that you got that trophy. Again, if they gave me an Oscar award, even though I've never acted in my life, I would gladly accept the award because then I could put Oscar award winner on my bio, and that would raise my price just because I won an Oscar award, and people would pay me more money just because I have an Oscar award, even if they don't even know what film I acted in, because there is no film that I acted in. But I would take the award because that award itself increases my credibility in the open marketplace because the average person doesn't care how you got the award. It just cares that you have it. That's how it works, folks. Optics. I told y'all optics is everything, not just in politics, but also in life. How you look and how things look and how it feels to people matters more than what's actually true. This is the reason why I told y'all what I do professionally is I help people with not just the optics, but the feel and the energy and the aura of the way you present yourself, because it plays a huge role in what people pick up, remember, and listen to from you when you do actually talk. If you don't look the part, they're not going to listen to you. And if you look the part, you can say something stupid and people will think that it's profound just because you look like you know what you're talking about. Is that true? Yes, it's 100% true. It's always been true and it will always be true. So I would suggest any of you want to increase your influence in the world. You want to win friends and influence people. You want to be more impactful with what you do. You need to pay attention to your nonverbal communication, your nonverbal cues, because they are helping people determine whether they should listen to you or ignore you. And if you look or feel like a person who should be ignored, you will be ignored even if what you're saying is profound. And if you look or feel like someone who should be listened to, you will be listened to even if what you're saying is completely useless. Again, look around in politics, you see a whole bunch of examples on both sides of that. Are You For Real said, who's the leader of Antifa? That's a loaded question. It's also a straw man question.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Because you don't have to have an organization doesn't have to have a leader for it to exist. It can just be an organization. They still exist. Mary, thank you for the follow. Stephen said, New York is done within 1 year after he is elected. Fact. Well, we'll see. Stephen, we will see it about a year from now. Because it looks like he's going to win. But he got to win first. Let's see if he actually wins. Skeeter says, the Bible says we judge fellow Christians. That's good. None of us are perfect, so we need to judge. Okay. Well, I'll let that position stand. Camulus, congrats on joining the fan club. Stephen said, moral judgment is done by only one. That's God. That's the way I look at it. Live Free said, moral character is judged by the people who award the Nobel Prize. You're probably right. But I don't like judging people's moral character. I like giving, if I'm on that Nobel Prize committee, I'm saying we need to give it to the person who has done the most to promote Now, is it the Peace Prize or is it just the Nobel Prize? I don't know which one they wanted Trump up for. Is it because may have more than one prize? I'm pretty sure they do. So I would want to know the criteria for the award, and then I would make my argument based on understanding the criteria in detail, which I don't know. Rosa said, the people who hate Trump will not support anything he does. What if it wasn't Trump? Well, if it wasn't Trump, they would support it. That's the whole point. If it was a Democrat, they would support it, Rosa. Let's put it that way. Camula said, the award statement is on point. Thank you. Whip Nasty, thanks for the follow. Smoky Mountain Drip said, if a group of paid actors give out trophies, why would that award have any credibility? Because other people believe in it. That's why. Why do the Oscar awards have credibility? What's the Oscar award mean? It's a bunch of actors giving awards to each other. That's what it is. What is the Grammy Awards? A bunch of musicians giving awards to each other. What is the Emmys? A bunch of TV people giving awards to each other. But people look up to people who win those awards because people have decided that that award matters. When people decide the award matters, the award has credibility. Same thing with the U.S. dollar. Why is the U.S. dollar worth something? It's just a piece of paper. It is technically worth nothing. It is backed by absolutely nothing. It's not backed by gold. So why is money worth something? You're walking down the street, you see a $20 bill on the ground. Will you stop and pick it up? Yes, you will. Why? It's just a piece of paper. Why would you pick it up? You picked it up because we agree that that $20 bill is worth something. That's why. So it's about belief. So if people believe that something is valuable, then you might want to get that thing because the value that that thing holds, it translates to you if you have it. That's the way it works. If I was doing these live streams every day, saying the exact same thing that I'm saying, but I was in my casual weekend gear, wearing a t-shirt and some basketball shorts and a snapback hat, many of you would not hear my message the same way that you hear it when I'm wearing a suit. Why? Because the suit communicates a certain level of professionalism, seriousness, and credibility that casual clothing does not communicate. Why do lawyers wear suits? Why do professionals often in business wear a suit? Why does the president wear a suit? Why can't the president just wear some board shorts and a t-shirt? I mean, it's the same person, same ideas, same thoughts, because the way you present yourself tells people whether they should listen to you or not listen to you and how seriously they should take you or not take you based on the environment. So in different environments, you wear different things. I was in the gym this morning. I had on workout gear. If I was in the gym with a suit on, people would be looking at me like I was crazy. And if I was here talking, I could still talk. There are people who get online and they wear casual clothing, but you would hear it differently, even though I was saying the same thing, just based on the way I'm presenting myself. So the way you present yourself and the energy that comes across outside of what you say plays a huge role in how people receive what you say or that they don't receive it. So that's the reason why the awards matter. Guitar Guy said, Hollywood decides the Nobel. Maybe you're right. Kendrick Job, thanks for the follow. Steven said, the question would be, who is the founder of Antifa? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that either. Toadette said, it was the Peace Prize? Okay. TX Trump Babe, good morning to you. Good to see you in here. So I do these live streams, everybody, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to tell y'all how to get one of my books. You can get it for free. I'll give you this book for free. It's called The Mirror of Motivation, the self-guide to self-discipline. This book is all about how you can be the person you need to be so you can do what you need to do and have what you want to have. I'll give you the book free. Just cover the shipping. Go to mirrorofmotivation.com. Books free. Just cover the shipping. Mirrorofmotivation.com. Those of you interested in mindset. Skeeter said the value of a dollar equals the goods and services that it buys. Just what we did until it changes. Yes, that's the value of the dollar once we accept that the dollar is worth something, Skeeter. The thing is, the paper that the dollar is printed on is worth absolutely nothing. The dollar itself, just a dollar without any belief, is worth nothing because it's not backed by gold. It used to be backed by gold. The reason the dollar is worth a dollar is because we believe it's worth a dollar. But if we lose our trust in the system, the governmental system and our economic system, then that dollar is worthless. Your money means nothing. And the value of a dollar goes up and down. It changes. It fluctuates. Freedom said, what microphone are you using? I'm looking to get a microphone for myself. You're listening on TikTok. This microphone is only connected to this camera over here. So y'all are not hearing this microphone. What you're hearing is the way I have it set up is I'm using an iPad, but I have it standing up straight. So my voice goes straight into the microphone. So it sounds very clear. The microphone on the iPad. But those of you listening on TikTok, there's no microphone. I just set it up so it can stand up straight. So the voice goes straight in and there's no echo. It's not having to travel through so many mediums. So it sounds very clear. I got a microphone for this over here. This is my YouTube, LinkedIn, X, Facebook, and Rumble. And I got a microphone for Instagram, but this one doesn't have a mic. but it sounds clear just as I set it up. I've been making videos for a while, so I know what works and what doesn't. I know how to make the sound come through clear, and I know through experience when something's not going through clear. So Steven said the dollar is a debt note. That's why they just keep printing them, folks. Yeah, and they keep printing them because we need more of them, but it's lowering the value of that dollar. So that's why the value of the dollar keeps going down in the macro, in the big picture. Freedom Rider, you're welcome. Mr. Jaws, thanks for the follow. So I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern, folks. If you like this one, be here tomorrow. Topic, I don't know. We might talk about Trump sending people into Memphis and the Democratic mayor of Memphis actually being happy about it. Because Tennessee, I believe, has a Republican governor. Somebody can fact check me on that. I believe Tennessee has a Republican governor, but Memphis has a Democratic mayor. And the Democratic mayor of Memphis is on the record saying he appreciates what Donald Trump is doing because it is helping the residents of Memphis. And I've heard people from Memphis, black people from Memphis, saying we appreciate what Donald Trump has done because it is helping us let our kids play outside. I don't hear gunshots or screeching tires anymore. This is a great thing. They sent the National Guard in to start fighting crime in Memphis. So we might talk about that tomorrow, but not guaranteed. Marky Man said gold is at 42.03. Shout out to gold investors out there. Skeeter said diversify into other currencies. Fair enough. That's not financial advice. Jimmy Lott said, I'll never care what people think about me. I'll never understand trying to be something you're not. Well, those are two different ideas, what you said there, Jimmy. And Jimmy, you do care what people think about you. I would challenge you on that. Now, have you ever been to a job interview, Jimmy? If so, you care what people think about you. Have you ever been on a date, Jimmy? Then you care what people think about you. Have you ever, do you wash your face in the morning and brush your hair? Then you care about what people think about you. Have you ever ironed your clothes or put on deodorant or cologne or gotten a haircut? Then you care what people think about you. All those things that we do are done not for ourselves. We do them because we know that the way we present ourselves towards other people will determine how they perceive us. So while on the surface you may think you don't care what other people think about you, if you really look at your behaviors, you'll understand that you do. Now, I understand what you're saying. I get the spirit of your point, Jimmy, which is you're not walking around wondering how is somebody evaluating me, et cetera, et cetera. I understand the spirit and I share your sentiments on that. I don't walk into a room and think, I wonder what everybody thinks about me. I'm thinking, what do I think about them on the surface? But at the same time, I do care what people think about me. Why do I have a social media profile? Why do I get a really good picture of myself that I like and use it as my bio image? Why? Because I care what people think. I care how people perceive me by looking at that photo. Why do I put on a suit and when I go and work and I'm on the internet? Because I care what people think about me. If I didn't care what you thought about me, I wouldn't get dressed at all. I just do this, roll out of bed and just do this. I'll say the same things, but it will come off completely differently. So we all care what people think about us. If you ever you ever washed your face, you ever put on deodorant, you ever got a haircut, if you ever brushed your teeth, if you ever used a breath mint or dental floss or mouthwash, if you ever took a shower, if you ever cleaned up your clothes, if you ever ironed your shirt, you ever took your suit to the cleaners, you care what people think about you. If you're a woman, you ever put makeup on, if you go to the gym and work out, you care what people think about you. We don't do all that stuff just for ourselves. Now, a lot of people like to say that because it sounds good. Oh, I just do that for myself. Well, women say that all the time. I only get dressed up for myself. Bullshit. That's not true. You do get dressed up for yourself. I'm not saying you don't want to like the way you look. I'm not saying that. Now, I get dressed up and put the suit on because I like the way I look and when I look in the mirror, but I'm not wearing this just for me. If it was just for me, I could get this done a lot more easily without having to put on a suit. Putting on a suit is a lot more work than putting on some shorts and a t-shirt. Trust me. So yes, I'm doing it for myself in a way that I like it and I appreciate it, but I would be lying if I said I'm only doing this for me and it has nothing to do with what anybody else thinks. That's a complete lie. And a lot of people like to say that. That's not true. So Guitar Guy said Marsha Blackburn is governor of Tennessee. Is she a Republican? That's what I'm asking. Is she a Republican? Who's the governor of Tennessee? So now we got to find out. Let's find out who the governor of Tennessee is. Can somebody answer the question? And is this person a Republican? That's what we're trying to find out. Who's the governor of Tennessee right now? So Nana said it's Bill Lee. Yes, it is Bill Lee. So the governor is Bill Lee. He's been in office since January of 2019, and Bill Lee is a Republican. So this is the reason why Trump was able to send troops into Memphis is because the Republican governor okayed it. Okay, so Bill Lee. Jimmy said, I get a haircut every few years. I also make well over six figures. What does making six figures have to do with what we're talking about here? We're talking about how people are perceiving you on the surface. They don't know that you make six figures when you walk down the street, Jimmy. And again, do you get dressed in the morning, or do you just walk outside naked? You get dressed. Why? Because you care what people think about you. Because if the cops think you're indecently exposing yourself, you get arrested. All right, do you brush your teeth? Do you brush your hair? All right, whether you got a haircut or not. Do you put clean clothes on? You do these things. Why? Because what other people think about you matters. Jay Rocket said, I think everyone cares to an extent. Is when you try to change for them, that's a problem. That I agree with. XTR said, do you do speaking tours? I do speaking engagements, yes. The Addict said, the difference between self-worth and self-respect. Are you asking or telling? And now I understand directionally what you're saying there. Addict say, self-respect is based on wanting to present well to people so that they value who you are. All right, fair enough. I agree with that. And all of us want people to think positively of us because you cannot get along in this world without relationships and connections to other human beings. We all understand this. And Bill Lee is a Republican. That's what I thought. Okay, Governor Lee, Republican. Andrew said, how you dress puts you in the right frame of mind for what you're going to be doing. This is also true. It puts you in a certain frame of mind for what you're doing, and it also puts other people in a certain frame of mind for how to perceive you. So how you dress tells other people what to think about you and how to look at you. Because both men and women, we have a lot of different options on the ways that we can present ourselves and how we dress. And how you dress tells people who you see yourself as and who you think you are. So again, a man walking around in t-shirt and shorts is giving off one energy, and a man walking around in a suit is giving off a different energy. The same man could wear those clothes on back-to-back days and get perceived completely differently. When I walk around in a suit, people look at me one way. When I walk around in t-shirt and shorts, people look at me a different way. I get completely different responses from people depending on how I'm dressed. And ladies, y'all probably have the same thing. You can dress conservatively. You can dress more provocatively. So it matters a lot. And everybody understands this on a subconscious level if you don't understand it consciously. CJ hates politics. That he owns a lead company, HVAC and plumbing repair. Okay, shout out to the HVAC and plumbing people. And it said, give Jimmy a cookie. A tired soul, thanks for the follow. Leah, congrats, gifted badge. Stephen Albert said, I'm trying to bet Jimmy don't make six figures and most of the dude don't speak on it. Well, we don't know. Who knows if he was just saying that or not. Nana Cat, dress for success. That's true. Miss B said, I care about the way I look. I just don't worry about what everybody else thinks got more important things. Well, Miss B, again, you care about the way you look. I agree. Now, you don't worry about, you may not worry about what everybody else thinks, but what other people think does matter, Miss B, because, again, you ever been on a date, you ever been on a job interview, then what those people think matters. You may not be worried about it, but does it matter? Yes, it does. Leah, congrats on the super popular. Steven said, peace to the gods. Off to work, rebuilding America one at a time. Yeah, shout out to everybody going to work today. Mirrorofmotivation.com. Get this book free. Just cover the shipping, folks. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Topic to be determined. Make sure you text the word power. You want to get into my power presence protocol. It's all about mastering that 85% of communication that makes the rest of your work easy. You want to make the rest of your work easy. Your selling easy, your influencing easy, your persuasion easy, your leadership easy, your communication easy. You must master the 85% of communication that's nonverbal. That's what we teach in the Power Presence Protocol. Text the word power to the number in my bio. It is 305-384-6894. I will see all of you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Everybody have a great Wednesday. Work on your game. We are out of here. Trump is amazing.